Hello, I'm the Doctor. Welcome to DoctorGeek. Today, we're discussing Series 10, Episode 2, Smile. We open with the Doctor and Bill in the TARDIS. Once again, Bill is excitedly asking the Doctor questions about his ship, and they banter back and forth in a very authentic way. Already, these two have fantastic chemistry, which is good, because they will be carrying almost this entire episode by themselves. The Doctor describes the TARDIS as a still point between where you want to go and where you need to be. This is a great quote that's really reminiscent of the 11th Doctor story, The Doctor's Wife, when the TARDIS tells the Doctor that she always brings him where he needs to go. When Bill asks the Doctor how much the TARDIS costs, the Doctor admits to stealing it. Bill jokes that, well, she could steal it too, but she doesn't know how it works. Neither did I, the Doctor shoots back. These two are great. Suddenly, there's a knock on the door. Nardole has come to scold the Doctor for leaving the vault unguarded. We learn that the Doctor took an oath to protect the vaults, and he's not allowed off-world. The Doctor asks Nardole to go upstairs and make a pot of tea, promising to come up with Bill and the TARDIS. But once Nardole leaves, Bill gets the standard question. Everything that ever happened or ever will lies between here and that kettle. Make your choice, past or future. Future, Bill says. I want to see if it's happy. We now cut to a scene that is absolutely the opposite of happy. In a beautiful field of wheat, a woman named Kezia and a robot are finishing the day's work when her radio goes off, asking where she is and telling her not to return to the base. But Kezia is hungry and returns anyway. Her sister finds her and tells her, with a silly grin on her face, that their mother is dead. Keep smiling, she says, but Kezia is understandably horrified and gets sadder and sadder. Suddenly, the robots flash red and attack her. Smaller robots break off from the walls and surround Kezia, leaving nothing but a pile of bones. Her sister follows shortly after, despite trying her very, very best to keep smiling. The Doctor and Bill arrive in the same field of wheat and start to approach the city. The Doctor tells Bill that this is one of the Earth's first colonies, and that the settlers have cracked the secret of human happiness, as Bill takes a selfie next to him. I'd like to take a moment now to comment on how absolutely beautiful this episode is. They filmed this in Valencia, Spain, and every location is just stunning. With last week's cinematography and now this week's set design, Series 10 is shaping up to be the best-looking series of Doctor Who yet. Bill asks the Doctor about Nardole's pestering him, and the Doctor tells Bill he owes her an explanation. He says, "A long time ago, a thing happened. As a result of that thing, I made a promise. As a result of that promise, I have to stay on Earth, guarding a vault." Hopefully, we get some more answers on this vault soon. When a whirring cloud of robots flies by, Bill asks if they're alien birds, but the Doctor tells her that they're called Vardis, tiny robots who work in flocks. Bill thinks they're pretty disappointing robots, but the Doctor tells her to not be so offensive. Suddenly, a high-pitched noise and a sensation in their ears results in the Doctor and Bill being able to communicate with each other remotely. Their ears have been upgraded. This seems like a much bigger deal than it ultimately ends up being, but more on that later. After wondering where all of the people are in this beautiful city, they get their first view of an Emoji-Bot, the robots from the Season 10 promos that got a lot of hype for their design. While Bill is pleased at seeing a proper robot, the Doctor tells her it's not actually a robot at all, only an interface for the real robots that they've seen flying around. Regardless, both the flying robots and the Emoji-Bots are one entity, the Vardi. The Emoji-Bot gives the Doctor and Bill yellow buttons, the same yellow buttons we saw the two women wearing in the pre-credits scene. Both sides of these buttons are blank, but only when the person holding them is looking at it. To everyone else, it displays your mood. The Doctor theorizes that seeing your mood would affect your mood and create a feedback loop, before he makes the poor decision to put the badge on himself. Immediately, the badge flies to his back, as Bill does the same. Their emotions are now on display, Bill is happy, but the doctor, as always, is trying to work out this latest mystery. The Emoji-Bot serves the doctor and Bill plates of blue squares that Bill says smell like fish. Seemingly forgetting that the doctor has already informed her that they're on a human colony, Bill worries that the food might not be edible, but the doctor tells her that they are algae, which Bill approves of, thinking it's better than eating animals. The doctor tells her he met an emperor once made of algae. "He fancied me," the doctor reminisces, much to the discomfort of Bill. She asks him why he got 2 portions of algae when she only got 1, and begins to complain about food sexism of the future, until the doctor tells her it's because the robots think he's 2 people due to his 2 hearts. This little detail seems to just be thrown in to let Bill know about the doctor's 2 hearts, but her reaction makes it worth it. The question of where everyone is comes back up, and the doctor theorizes that the colony ship has not yet arrived, and that these robots were sent in advance to make sure everything is ready for the colonists. They make their way around and come to a garden area where the Vardy are tending to their crops, watering and fertilizing them. The doctor notes that the fertilizer is calcium-based and wonders where they get it. At this point, the doctor asks Bill if he sounded convincing when he told her that the colonists probably hadn't arrived yet. She tells him he was, but after looking at his emoji button, he's not managed to convince himself. That's because the doctor has a suspicion that the answer to their 2 questions is the same. What is the fertilizer made of, and where are all the people? After looking inside the fertilizer machine, his fears are confirmed. A pile of bones feeds the machine. The colonists have been found. The doctor and Bill make a run for it, but get cornered by the Emoji-Bots, which kindly stare at them rather than attacking like they did in the pre-credit scene. The doctor suggests that they smile to fool their emotional buttons, since smiling can positively affect your mood. Grinning like idiots, the doctor and Bill slowly make their way around the Emoji-Bots and out of the city, making it back to the TARDIS in one piece. However, just as soon as they arrive, the doctor leaves again, telling Bill to remain in the TARDIS where she won't get hurt. Bill asks the doctor where he's going, and he tells her that the city's a living death trap with its mouth wide open, and he can't just do nothing about it. He's going to blow it up. Bill asks why he can't just call the police or phone a helpline. Why's it got to be him? But he's too busy running into danger to answer her. Bill looks at the TARDIS and sees the sign, Police Call Box. The music here is really powerful as it dawns on Bill why the doctor does what he does. The doctor makes his way around the base for a few moments before once again being joined by Bill, who tells him that she's worked it out and she now knows that he is the helpline. He couldn't leave her serving chips, so she won't leave him. This is a great bit of characterization for Bill, and the look on her face of self-satisfaction is really great. The doctor now informs Bill that the problem is bigger than she realizes. The entire city that they're in is made of Vardy. Every single wall is made of millions of interlocking microbots. They're completely surrounded. So, there's only one solution: find a real wall. The doctor theorizes that since there's no ship outside, the colonists must have built the city around their ship when they landed, meaning that the ship should be in the center of the city. Sure enough, they soon come across a riveted wall and a large metal door which marks the entrance to the spaceship. The door is not locked, so the doctor locks it behind them as they make their way inside. Finding a large map, the doctor has Bill read him directions over their mental link, while he makes his way to the engine room to blow up the ship. This is the only instance of this ear communication being used in this entire episode, and it really seems like this was only really done so that they could split up the doctor and Bill. What makes it worse is that after a few minutes, Bill realizes what we were all thinking and takes a picture of the map with her cell phone. The doctor, like us, asks Bill what took her so long to realize that she could do that, and she yells at him for knowingly trying to keep her out of danger. As the doctor finds the engine room and begins preparing it to explode, Bill wanders around and finds a room with a dead woman in it. In front of her deathbed is an e-book which seems to detail all of human history, culminating in the colony's voyage from Earth. At this point, Bill realizes that the Earth was destroyed and these colonies could have been the Earth's last hope. But the doctor assures her that he's come across many ships like this in all his travels, referencing old stories like the Ark and the Beast Below. Bill leaves the room and comes face to face with a little boy. Are we there yet? The boy asks. Clearly, not all of the colonists were killed by the Vardy. After showing the little boy to the doctor, he realizes he has made a terrible mistake and begins to stop the explosion that was about to take place. When the doctor and Bill entered the ship, they began its preparations to wake up the remaining colonists who had stayed on while the first wave of people supervised the final touches to the city. With only 12 minutes to go in this episode, the colonists are waking up, and we meet a man named Steadfast, MedTech 1 of the colony. "What day is it?" he asks. "The end of the world," replies the doctor. "Already? We just got here," he laughs back, but the doctor's not laughing. He instructs Steadfast to make sure everyone stays on the ship until he says so. The doctor doesn't understand what could have gone wrong with the Vardy, so Bill decides to show him the ebook she found. Conveniently, in the book, the doctor looks at the history of the colony and realizes that this dead woman was the first person to die once the colonists landed. The log shows that once she died, a few more people died, then a lot of people died, and it was all done in just one day. Bill guesses it was a plague, but the doctor knows better. It was grief. Grief expressed as plague. What happened was, the Vardy were designed to keep people happy, but they were never programmed for grief. The Vardy are smart and they learn, so when the woman died, it made people sad, and the Vardy didn't know what to do with sad people, so it killed them. But this in turn made even more people sad, which made more people die, until there was no one left. It was just all one big misunderstanding. With 7 minutes left in the episode, we're back with the colonists as the doctor explains the situation to them. Their reactions to the terrible news is unsurprising, and despite the protest of Bill and the doctor, the humans arm themselves to get ready for a fight. The doctor argues that the Vardy were only trying to help the humans, and that killing them was only a side effect of that, but the colonists won't hear it. Meanwhile, the first boy to wake up has already made his way into the city, and the Emoji-Bots have given him a button and taken him hostage. As the humans and the Emoji-Bots stand off with the boy in the middle, he starts to cry, and Bill does her best to keep him calm so as not to upset the Vardy. Tensions rise and one of the humans shoots a Vardy, prompting a firefight and pandemonium. The doctor realizes that if the Vardy are recognizing that they're under attack, they must be self-aware, and that means that they're alive and a form of life. He takes advantage of the exposed wiring in the destroyed Vardy to do a little sonicking, and the whole city is filled with a massive explosion of light. As the light dies away, the doctor begins to tell the story of the magic haddock. Basically, a man finds a magic haddock which will grant him 3 wishes, so he wishes that his son will return from the war and for 100 pieces of gold. What the man gets instead is his son home in a coffin and 100 pieces of gold in recognition of his bravery in battle. So, with his 3rd wish, the man wishes he had never made the first 2 wishes to begin with. He hit the reset button. The doctor has done the same and erased the memories of the Vardy. They have no recollection of their murderous ways and have no idea what the humans are doing in their city, which, it turns out, is made entirely of them. The doctor tells the humans that the Vardy are essentially this planet's indigenous life forms, and if the humans want to live there, they'll have to negotiate with them. The humans are understandably upset about this, since their people are dead, but they have no choice, as there's millions of Vardy, and they're the only ones who know anything about how anything works. The Vardy have absolute power over the situation, so the doctor and Bill have only one suggestion: smile. The doctor happily accepts the role of negotiator between the 2 races and begins to make the acquaintance of the new species, starting with the topic of rent. The Vardy like the sound of that. Back in the TARDIS, Bill asks the doctor if he makes it a habit of traveling around like an intergalactic policeman. "I'm not a policeman," the doctor says, to which Bill rolls her eyes. The doctor tells Bill that they have returned to London just as they left, but when Bill opens the door, she finds herself on the frozen River Thames and face to face with an elephant. So, overall, this was a standard early season trip to the far future story that we always get with a new companion. More often than not, these stories leave a lot to be desired, and this episode was no exception. While I really loved the chemistry between Bill and the Doctor as they tried to fit together the pieces of this mystery, the longer the story goes on, the worse it gets, culminating in a rushed ending and a very disappointing solution to a horrifying problem. As for what I liked, first off, as I already said, this episode is gorgeous. I promise I won't make it a habit of talking about how every episode looks, but the locations in this episode were just fantastic. Both the beautiful wheat field in the beginning and the amazing building in Valencia, Spain that they used on location both evoke the look of a strange alien planet. And if I didn't know that this place really existed, I would have believed it was all done with CGI. It seems like the production value this season has really gone up once again, and I'm not complaining for a second. Next, once again, Pearl Mackie and Peter Capaldi shine in their on-screen chemistry. Really, the best parts of this episode are watching the Doctor and Bill just walk around the city and talk to each other. The script this week is brilliant as it gives these two actors plenty of room to feel out their characters and develop their relationship further now that they're traveling for fun and not out of necessity. Where the episode starts to fall apart is when we start to add to this dynamic with the Emoji-Bots and then later with the other people. First off, I have to come out and say that the Emoji-Bots are by far the most disappointing villain in recent memory. After seeing them in the promotions and knowing that they would be evil, people were really excited about these little guys, and I really feel like they were underused and underdeveloped. Forgetting the fact that it makes absolutely no sense for a far-flung future society to make robots that can't talk, the whole concept of the robots being designed to make you happy but knowing nothing about grief is silly to say the least. What graduates it from silly to ridiculous is that the only way that they can deal with this unknown is to kill people. These robots were clearly created to do damage to people. They have murder faces programmed into their emoji options, and the microbots have the ability to strip flesh from bones in seconds. Why would you even give those abilities to robots if their only job is to make people happy? Also, the inconsistency with the microbots was really distracting to me. In the pre-credits, we see the microbots immediately go after and murder two people. They can't even run. But then, here, we see the Doctor and Bill standing around and talking while surrounded by Vardy, and nothing happens. When they run from the city with the microbots chasing after them, they never get caught. And in the end, when everyone is shooting at the Vardy, no one gets killed. It just seems like they introduced something super threatening and then spent the rest of the episode trying to walk it back. Next, the entire end of this episode is super rushed. If there had been a more satisfying ending, I would suggest that it be made into a two-parter, but I think it's best to get this one over with sooner rather than later. We don't meet any other people until there are less than 12 minutes left in the entire episode. By the time the colonists arm themselves for a fight, we have 7 minutes left, and by the time the Doctor resets everything, we're down to less than 4 minutes, meaning that the entire climax of this episode took about 3 minutes. To top it all off, the episode ends with the humans losing, and losing in a big way. Not only have they just woken up to their friends and family being murdered, but they now have to live with the very things that killed them off. And the only advice the Doctor and Bill can give them is to smile? Where the hell did they get off telling these poor people to suck it up and get over it? There's a poor boy that just lost his mother, and now he's just supposed to smile and play chess with the former murder bots? The Doctor was completely prepared to blow up every single Vardy in that city, but once he found out the colonists were still around, he had no choice but to just let everything stay the way it was? Having an oppressive, murderous regime control another race through absolute power is normally something the Doctor rallies against, but instead, this episode has him encouraging the Vardy to exploit the humans for profit. It all just seems out of character for the Doctor, in much the same way that the episode In the Forest of Night did, which has the same writer as this one. I really don't think that this guy should be invited back to pen a third episode. Overall, I thought that Smile had some good parts, with beautiful sets and great dialogue, with Bill especially. But the episode falls on its face when the answers to our questions turn out to be poorly constructed, and the finale is 20 minutes of content stuffed into a 10-minute bag. I give Smile 6 Emoji-Bots out of 10. So, That was my review of Series 10, Episode 2. Be sure to like and subscribe for more reviews and Doctor Who news every week. Thank you for being my companion on this journey today. I'm the Doctor. Bye for now.